but I'm just a rock chick.
I would describe my music and my sound as Avril.
It's the best damn thing.
Happy summer and welcome back to another bonus edition of the Best Damn Avril Lavigne podcast, a facts and trivia-based podcast about Canadian pop singer Avril Lavigne. I'm your host, Andrew DeFrancesco. So it feels like every time I come back with a new episode, I'm always talking about why I haven't uploaded a new episode in the last few months. And the reason this time is because I was switching podcast hosts, so I actually have a more reasonable excuse this time. Because if I tried uploading a new episode while the feed was switching over, it wouldn't have actually posted to anyone's feed. So I did have to wait until all of that was sorted out. And I had some issues, some troubleshooting issues, like trying to switch the feed over, that I had to do some work behind the scenes quite a few times, reaching out to the new host and having them help to switch everything over officially. So that's why it did take longer than I thought it would. And the reason why I decided to switch hosts, not to bore everyone with all the details, but basically when I started this podcast, I was just looking for a free host to use. And the host that I was using worked for a while. And then like lately when I would upload an episode, it wouldn't actually push out to people's feeds. And I would have to email them and ask them to manually push it out. And obviously that's not something that you want to have to keep doing. So I made the difficult decision to try to find a new host, but still being able to use something for free. And there's a lot of hosts out there that either are not free or the free options that they have are quite limited. So I'm happy to say that now I'm hosting through Spotify. Spotify has a great, if you're looking to start a podcast, Spotify has a great option for free podcasting and free podcast hosting without any limitations. So hopefully now things are going to be more smooth going forward. And I'm really excited about being on this new host. And there's like some features that it has that my old one didn't have, and like better troubleshooting service and things like that. Like my old host, because it was a free site, it kind of had very limited customer service options and stuff. And they weren't always the most responsive and stuff. And so now that I'm with Spotify, hopefully if I have any issues or any technical things going on, that they'll be able to help and assist a lot, more smoothly. To me, it just feels like turning a new chapter with this podcast because I've been doing it for so long and kind of just like improvising as I go and learning things as I go. And I'm always, learning new things and finding better ways to do things and improve the show. And so I think that hosting with Spotify feels like a step in the right direction for me. It feels like a little bit more official, a little less like ragtag, just kind of hosting on this random free site. Like I'm hosting with Spotify now. And so it feels a little bit more like professional in a way. And I just hope that it kind of moves things along in the right direction, and that, the technical issues that I've been having are hopefully a thing of the past now. So with all that being said, because it's been a few months since our last podcast episode, there is so much stuff that's happened with Avril that, of course, we have to catch up on and talk about, from 2 new collaborations to the start of the 2025 leg of the Greatest Hits Tour and more exciting news. There's a lot to cover, so let's get into it. Here's a rundown of the latest news and events that have happened with Avril since our last episode. On April 1st, the full version of an 8th album outtake called Liar leaked. On April 22nd, Billy Idol released 77 off his album Dream Into It featuring Avril. The track runs a total of 2 minutes and 54 seconds. It was written by Billy, Nick Long, Steve Stevens, and Tommy English. On the song, Billy said, "First she sings about today, about what's happening to young people today, and then I was able to sort of think about what was happening to us in the mid-70s in England. England was going through a massive depression back then, a fight with immigrants, authorities, big groups fighting each other." He also said she was incredible to work with and that she made the song sound 3 times better. The version with Avril is featured on the digital album only, while physical copies feature a solo version by Billy. Additionally, they posted a brief clip singing the song that was posted to social media, in which Avril sported neon green hair streaks. On the day of the album's release on April 25th, Avril also appeared in the official promotional trailer. Another promotional video was uploaded to social media in which Billy described the inspiration for the song, while Avril expressed her gratitude for being chosen to be on it. They also performed the song live for the first time on Jimmy Kimmel Live on April 28th. 77 debuted at number 46 on the Hot AC Airplay chart and peaked inside the top 40. It also reached the top 30 on the Hot Adult Pop Airplay chart. On May 5th, Avril posted on Instagram showing a new tattoo on her arm that said Young and Dumb, implying this would be the title of the new single she had teased back in March. Simple Plan also commented with the side eyes emoji, hinting they would be a featured artist. It was later revealed the same day that Young and Dumb is the new single featuring Simple Plan, with a release date of May 9th. They posted a TikTok together to announce the track. Avril also said she would be performing it as part of the Greatest Hits Tour. Additionally, the tattoo that Avril had revealed was a temporary tattoo which fans could purchase from her official merch shop. Young and Dumb is written by Avril, Pierre Bouvier, Chuck Como, and John Feldman, and produced by John Feldman, with a running time of 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Avril said she called Simple Plan a few months ago to write it, and that it was a tribute to the fans, as well as inspired by their early days of touring together, their lasting friendship, and love of music. When posting the announcement to her social media, Avril tagged Big Noise, implying she has switched record labels. Additionally, the copyright lists it as being licensed from MFP Music. On May 6th, Avril dropped a limited edition sweatshirt with the skate shop Pally Skates with 100% of the proceeds going to help them rebuild after the California wildfires. In addition to the song, Avril also released the music video for Young and Dumb on May 9th, as well as new merch for the song and the 2025 leg of the tour. She also filmed behind-the-scenes clips of the video for Billboard's Instagram and created a photo diary for People magazine. On May 18th, the 2025 leg of the Greatest Hits tour began in Moncton, New Brunswick, Canada. New tour merch was sold on her website. In addition to new costumes and visuals, the set list featured new additions like Rock and Roll, as well as an acoustic set featuring Breakaway, Can You Die From a Broken Heart, Keep Holding On, and a mashup of Pink Pony Club by Chapel Roan with Warrior, the latter two of which she played on acoustic guitar. She also played Love Sucks on the drums, 77, and Young and Dumb. Significant changes were later made as the tour has gone on, which we'll cover in a future episode. On May 22nd, Evan Taubenfeld tweeted on X about the Under My Skin B-side Understand Me, writing, "Understand Me was the verse of what became Push, but she wrote a better chorus. Priceless, still a fucking banger, one day." In a separate tweet, he wrote, "Just listen to the demo of Understand Me, it's actually quite different. Real good, let me call her LOL." On May 24th, Avril performed at the Boston Calling Music Festival. On May 29th, she appeared as a guest on Kylie Kelsey's podcast, Not Gonna Lie. She revealed that the Sk8er Boi movie is still in the works and that she still wants to make a Christmas album someday, as well as write a cookbook or have a cooking show. She also said she would love to do a duet with Shania Twain. On May 30th, she played a sold-out show at the famed Madison Square Garden, her first time playing the venue as a headliner. On June 14th, Avril's performance at the Bonnaroo Festival in Tennessee was canceled due to weather. On June 15th, she performed as the headliner for Van's Warped Tour in Washington, D.C. Derek Whibley joined her as a surprise guest to perform In Too Deep by Sum 41. On June 17th, Avril announced she will be playing for the grand opening of Hard Rock Casino Ottawa on July 5th. The same day, she appeared in an online campaign for trauma disruptors to help those suffering from childhood trauma. She also appeared in a promo video for the All Your Friends Fest with Simple Plan, as well as the trailer for their upcoming documentary, The Kids in the Crowd, set to premiere on Amazon Prime on July 8th. Additionally, the Greatest Hits album has gained 5 billion streams, Avril's first album to achieve this milestone. Complicated surpassed 1 billion streams on YouTube Music. Goodbye Lullaby surpassed 1 billion streams on Spotify, her third album to achieve this milestone. Drew Ryan covered I'm With You on the latest season of American Idol. Jaden Cree covered Keep Holding On the latest season of The Voice. New signed Let Go vinyls and Funko Pops were released from Premier Collectibles, as well as limited signed copies of the Greatest Hits vinyl. Avril was revealed to be a feature on an upcoming song by Yellowcard called You Broke Me Too, which will be released on their upcoming album Better Days on October 10th. And lastly, she is also rumored to be featured on Bon Jovi's upcoming duets album Forever. A release date is not yet known. So clearly that is a lot of stuff to cover, so I'm going to try to not spend too much time talking about everything, but I do want to give my thoughts on like these latest songs and all the news that's happened and everything. I'm going to start though by going way back to the song You're a Jerk, which I know that's like a million lifetimes ago at this point, but I did want to just briefly talk about that song because I did finally get to hear it. So I don't really remember a lot of what it sounds like now, but I did take some notes at the time, so I'd remember when I came back to the podcast to give my thoughts on it really quick. So the chorus is exactly the same as So Cruel, but the verses and the melody are different, and I honestly think that the concept works better as So Cruel anyway, so it doesn't really matter if you ended up hearing You're a Jerk or not, because I think So Cruel is probably the better of the two versions of the song. And it's really interesting because I don't think Avril has ever done that, where she's reworked a song into another one, but using the same pieces. Like, she's kind of done that before with Bad Girl and Give You What You Like, where the bridge of Bad Girl ended up becoming the basis for Give You What You Like. But obviously, like, the two songs sound totally different. So this is a completely different thing where, like, the chorus remained the same between the two songs. And so I don't think Avril's ever done that before. It's kind of interesting to think why she might have done that. Maybe she just really liked the chorus, but she wanted to write different verses because we know she struggles to write verses with songs. And so maybe that's kind of why she thought, like, I really like this chorus, but I want to change the verses. And so she just made a completely different song. I also wanted to briefly give my thoughts about the Liar song that leaked. I think it sounds promising. I like that it's a different vibe than her usual. And it seems like the track is probably scrapped though, because it was also recorded by another artist named CL. So it's unlikely that we'll ever hear it officially, probably. The leaked songs aside, luckily we haven't gotten any other songs since then. Hopefully we won't get any more, like at least for a long while. But putting the leaked songs aside and talking about these actual songs that she put out, starting with the collaboration with Billy Idol, 77. I think this is a pretty good song. I'm not sure what my expectations really were going into it. Like, I'm not sure if I think I probably thought it was going to be more punky sounding maybe. It's kind of more akin to Avril's pop rock music. It's like a lot of people have said they just think this song is just tailor-made for her. It really fits her vibe. I think the hook is catchy. It gets stuck in my head. I find myself singing it a lot. I really liked their live performance of it as well. And I just think it's cool. Like, no matter how the song ended up turning out, like whether people like it or didn't like it, I think it's just awesome that an artist like Billy asked Avril to be on his song. like I said before in the previous episode when I talked about just the news of the collaboration coming out, that I thought it was a really cool testament to her as an artist, that somebody on his level, like he's a legend in punk rock music, the fact that he wanted her to be on his song, like it wasn't, Avril asking Billy to be on the song, it was him asking her to be on it, which, I think it's always cool, like when people at that level want her to be part of what they're working on, like they specifically think of her and they're like, hey, I think she would be good on this song. I think that she would add something to it. And the fact that he did say she made it even better than the original. And we actually do have the original recording as well, because for some reason, Avril's version is a digital exclusive. I'm not sure why. Like on the physical copies, it's just Billy. And then on the digital for streaming, it's their duet together. It's a very similar situation to Dumb Blonde in that sense. I'm not sure why. Maybe they just thought for streaming, like to get the numbers up, like if we have a more current artist on the song, it will increase streaming numbers. I don't know. But we actually can hear both versions. And I kind of agree with him. I do think Avril's voice on it does add something to the original. Like I think the original song is fine, but I do think Avril does add something by being on it. And it's also interesting to note that she did not write on it, because a lot of times when she collaborates with people, she usually has a writing credit somewhere, or she'll maybe write her verse or something. But in this case, that didn't happen. And the other thing I like about the song too is that it's a different topic than her usual. It's kind of more political leaning and talking about like social groups being at odds with each other and stuff like that, which is not something she really ever typically approaches. So I do like that it's something different than what she usually does. And it kind of gets her out of her comfort zone a little bit. And then of course, the other major song that we have to talk about is Young and Dumb. This is like the, official single kind of the greatest hits era. I have to say when it first came out. So first of all, I do have to acknowledge that I was incorrect. In the previous episode, I gave an incorrect prediction that it was not going to be a collaboration with Simple Plan, but I was obviously proven very much wrong on that. I just think it was odd that when she teased the song, she never hinted at all that they would be part of it, but maybe she just wanted to keep that part a surprise. I don't know. But I will say that when the song first came out, I was not like super keen on it. I found it to be a little bit kind of just... Honestly, I found it to be kind of disposable in my opinion. Like that might sound a little harsh, but to me, it just felt kind of like rushed in the way that they wrote it. And it was like very clearly just meant to be a song for the tour. And it just kind of felt like it's not going to stand the test of time in her catalog. Like that's kind of how I viewed it. And so it felt kind of disposable in that sense to me, almost like the fast food version of music, where it's like it gets the job done, but it's not the greatest quality. That's kind of how I thought of it. But I will say that I think the song has grown on me a lot more since that first listen. Like I do find myself going back to it quite often. I think it's really catchy. I do think the verses could have been more fleshed out with the lyrics. And I think the biggest complaint about the song is that it's sorely missing a bridge. And I think a lot of fans with John Feldman's production kind of have a bone to pick with his production because of the way that he produces her voice. I'm not even really a fan of how he produced Pierre Bouvier's voice on it either. I just think John Feldman is good with his production in terms of instrumentals. Like I think he's really good at producing instruments. I think that he's good at collaborating with Avril on what her vision for songs are, like how she's been wanting to lean more into the rock and punk side of her music lately, since the Love Sucks era. Like I feel like he's been good for her in certain aspects. Like he's been pushing her more vocally. He's been pushing her to kind of, do things a little bit more properly, I guess, like kind of really polishing things. But I do think, I just am not a fan of how he produces her voice. I think maybe on albums like Love Sucks it can work, but I think every song kind of tends to sound quite formulaic after a while. I think he has a very specific style. I mean, all producers have a specific style, but it's kind of like, almost like a John Feldman song when you hear one, almost like kind of similar to Jack Antonoff, how Jack Antonoff is Taylor's kind of go-to producer, but a song of his when you hear it because he has a very specific style. And so after a while, things can kind of start to sound formulaic if they tend to rely on the same literal formula every time, where it's like every John Feldman song tends to start with a little bit of the chorus, and then it goes into the verse, and then like the pre-chorus and the chorus, and then usually there's no bridge, or it's a very short kind of like half bridge that's not like really a bridge. I don't know. I feel like his songs with her are kind of starting to grow a bit tired, if I'm being honest. Like, not that I don't think his work with her is like good, but I think it's kind of all starting to sound a bit samey, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my bone to pick with this song, is that it feels like a continuation of what we've already been hearing from her. It's not really anything new, but I guess at the same time, for it being like part of the greatest hits era, even though it's not part of the greatest hits album, I really think that was a missed opportunity. I think this song should have been written for the 2024 leg and then tacked on to that greatest hits album. But for whatever reason, she decided to wait until now to finally write a song for them to perform together. So I think it does its job of being a song for the tour, being sort of the flagship song to represent the greatest hits era. Like now that she's been having a lot of success with the second leg. The first leg was really successful, but the second leg has been also really successful. And so I think she's just trying to kind of keep that momentum going. Like it's been getting like a lot of good reviews in the press and media coverage, and a lot of like casual fans showing up and remembering their love for Avril. And so it's kind of this big celebration of her career. And so I get why she's kind of like, I need a song to represent this and kind of cement all of this, into the greatest hits era and memorialize it in a way. And obviously like having something for her and Simple Plan to perform together as well when they bring the fans up on stage. And so I think it works really well for that. And so I think honestly, I'm pretty sure they wrote it with all of that in mind. Like, this is the song that we're going to sing on tour together. We're going to have the fans up on stage. And it needs to be something that fans can learn really quickly. And the lyrics are simple and easy to follow and remember. And maybe they wanted to keep it kind of short. And like, that's why there's no bridge. Like I really think it could have used a bridge. Like, I think it could have just kind of tied the whole thing together. It's almost like when the song gets going and like starts to get really good that it ends. But maybe they just thought, like, that would make the song too long. They didn't want fans to be up on stage too long. Like, they wanted to kind of keep the show moving, like get the fans on stage, take the photos, give them the skateboards, give them a chance to sing a couple verses, and then like move the show along, I guess. Maybe there's just more to it than we know about how they decided. There's probably some strategy there with how they decided to write it. I don't know. So I think it does its job in that respect. Do I think it's like the greatest song she's ever come up with? Do I think it's necessarily going to be remembered in her catalog up there with the greats of like Complicated, Sk8er Boi, Girlfriend, My Happy Ending? Probably not. But I think, for this, like serving its purpose of just being the flagship song for the greatest hits kind of era that we're in, I think it serves its purpose well enough. And I think it's definitely preferable than when they were doing Addicted together, because that was a Simple Plan song. And I think it was obvious a lot of fans when they got up on stage, they didn't necessarily know it. And I think it always just made it kind of awkward. And so it's like having a new song for them to perform together, and it's really technically Avril's song. And it's kind of paying acknowledgement to when they were coming up together, like at the same time as artists and touring together, and having those nostalgic kind of throwback moments about talking about leaving Napanee, and she's wearing her white tank top and black eyeliner. And like, I like the reference that Simple Plan has to their song, I'm Just a Kid. I thought that was kind of a clever little like nod or Easter egg thrown in there. Just kind of having that song that celebrates both of them, and like how 20 years later, they're still going together, and like things have changed, but things also have stayed the same kind of. And it's just really catchy. I think it's got one of her best hooks that she's written. Like, that is something that she always delivers on, is great hooks, great choruses that get stuck in your head. And the music video also grew on me with more views as well. Like, initially when I saw it, I thought it looked kind of cheaply done. But as I watched it more, I really started to enjoy it a lot more. And it gives me such nostalgic, like Complicated era vibes, like especially with the girl at the skate park dressed like her, and how she kind of like has this look on her face, like Avril when she sees her. She has this kind of look on her face where she's like, like, and I think that's so awesome to see, because I feel like that's so true to Avril's probably real reactions when she's out and about and she sees, like, especially at the shows, she sees all these people dressed up exactly like her, and just kind of thinking like, she thought nothing of it when she was coming up, and she's like, I'm just going to wear a tie and baggy skate pants. Like, that's just how I dress, not knowing at all what was going to happen, that like how much it was going to catch on with people. So yeah, I just really like that little nod kind of in there. And it also kind of reminds me of the music video for Here's to Never Growing Up as well, which, if you can believe, that video is well over a decade old. So this, song and video definitely hits on all the nostalgia vibes, which is like the whole point. That's the whole point of the greatest hits era and the tour, is her capitalizing on that nostalgia. And nostalgia is such a big thing right now with millennials and even Gen Z. Like, all the stuff that we grew up with, everything is getting like rebooted and sequels, and everything is coming back, and we just kind of are all craving those simpler times, I guess. And so I think that's what this song is really meant to represent, is like those simpler times. And also, too, I mean, a lot of fans noted that she just looked like she had tons of fun making that video with Simple Plan. I think she always tends to either perform better or make better videos and songs and stuff when she's working with her friends. Like, even her performance of 77 with Billy Idol was really good, considering that they've never performed together. They don't like really know each other that well, but they seem to vibe. And she just, always seems to kind of do better, I guess, when she has like, she's able to share the stage or share the spotlight with someone else. Like, it's almost like it takes some of the pressure off of her. And I think she just likes having someone else to like interact with, if that makes sense. And so I think this video turned out much better than maybe some of her solo videos because Simple Plan was in it with her. I also wanted to talk about her like green hair because that was another thing that has grown on me. Like clearly Avril is trying to prove me wrong or something with all these new things like that she's doing. She's like, I'm initially kind of like, I don't know about this. And then, I kind of just get used to it. It grows on me and I'm like, okay, I kind of see what you're doing, Avril. So green seems to be the new theme this era, which I'm not mad about because green is one of my favorite colors. And she's got this green, like neon green hair, but like it's more green than she's done previously. Like she did have some green hair during the Goodbye Lullaby era, but this is like way more than she's ever done. And that was a darker green. This is more of a neon green. Although now the green has kind of faded more. And now she has pink, like dyed on the, like dip dyed on the bottom. So I wasn't super keen on the green at first, but it has grown on me more. And I don't know, it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, it doesn't look like the kind of thing that should work. Cause like at first I thought it looked like she had dipped her hair in chlorine or something, but maybe they kind of like fixed it and added like more, it like looked a lot more vibrant in some of the photos that she's posted on Instagram where like maybe they fixed the dye job a little bit and it looked more vibrant and stuff. And like they fixed kind of the placement of it. So like blended a little bit better with her hair and everything. So I'm like, yeah, I actually kind of am feeling it. Except that now, of course, as I'm starting to get used to it, now the green has faded and now it's pink on the bottom. But yeah, I'm liking Avril in her green era. The next thing to talk about that is a rather surprising piece of news, or maybe it's not that surprising, I don't know, but in the last episode, I had talked about this potential collaboration with Heidi Montag that never ended up coming to fruition, and as of the time of this recording, still hasn't. Basically, a long time ago, like months ago, we had thought that there was going to be this collaboration in the works with Heidi Montag, and she had talked about, or she hinted at performing with somebody at Madison Square Garden. And because Avril had a show at Madison Square Garden on May 30th, we all just kind of assumed like she's going to show up, I guess. She could have been talking about a different artist, I don't know, but to my knowledge, Heidi Montag has not appeared at Madison Square Garden anywhere. She has not appeared with Avril anywhere at this point. So I'm not sure what happened with this collaboration. She never ended up appearing with Avril at Madison Square Garden, which I'm honestly glad about because I think that show should have just been all about Avril as it should have been and was. So I think what I last heard about this Heidi Montag collaboration, like, I mean, some people are kind of like, well, maybe they're not collaborating or maybe they're collaborating on something that's not a song, but it's kind of like, well, what would it be then if it wasn't a song? And like Heidi did also recently put out an album as well. I think it's called Heidi Wood. Avril is nowhere to be seen on that album. So it's like she literally just put out an entire album and Avril is nowhere to be seen on it. So I don't know if it's like a Heidi song featuring Avril or Avril featuring Heidi, like who knows. So the last thing that I heard about it is that the song is still rumored to be sitting out there, like it's ready to be released, but like it may or may not be released was what I heard is like it could be released and may not be released. Maybe it's something to do with Avril being on a new label, which is another thing I'll get to in a second. I'm curious to hear if they did do a song together. I'm curious to hear what they worked on, like just for pure curiosity's sake, like hearing what they would have come up with together, whether it's good or bad, like just to, like, I'm just curious to know. But if it never gets released, I won't be upset about it, honestly. And then as far as her not appearing at Madison Square Garden, like I said, rightfully that show should have been all about Avril, and it was. I am so proud of her that she was able to do a sold out show as a headliner at Madison Square Garden. She had never done that before, so that's like another kind of item checked off on her bucket list. And like just 20 years into her career to be able to do that. And I'm just glad that it was a success for her, that she seemed to perform really well and give her all that show. The next thing to talk about, as I just alluded to, this label change. So it appears that Avril is now with Big Noise, which is a label that is co-founded, I believe, by John Feldman. So it totally makes sense that she's there or why she's there. I'm not sure what happened to DTA. I'm not sure if like the label just became defunct and Travis Barker now only has his son signed on. Like, I'm not entirely sure what happened with DTA. But it totally makes sense that Avril is now with a label that's headed by John Feldman. I just hope that it doesn't create issues with her if she decides, like, you know, I actually don't want to like either work with you anymore or I want to move to a different label, because it seems like every album she's going to a different label. So we'll kind of just have to see how this plays out. And this would also definitely explain all the leaks and the delays with the 8th album, because all the label stuff, like moving to a different label, it might explain why the Heidi Montag collaboration got held up for some reason. But hopefully now that she's with a new label, that things will run more smoothly. She'll be back on track to finish the album soon. I think it's been very clear over the last few years, like since the Love Sucks era has begun, that going to a label where she's like friends with the people running it seems very important to her. And so I hope that being on Big Noise, like she's obviously very close with John Feldman. Hopefully that this means good things to come, that she's not, like those battles that she used to have with the big labels, that those are completely a thing of the past. Like the Love Sucks era went really, really well because she was with a label that was super supportive of her. It's just that the problem was that it was such a small label. And like, even though I think Warner, it was either Elektra or Warner or whatever, handled a lot of the bigger aspects of it, Big Noise might have a little bit more of the resources to kind of give her what she needs. But yeah, I think that she always does her best work when she's with, like, working with people who get her and people who are her friends, people that she trusts, and, are trying to work with her vision rather than like make her change the vision. So hopefully that means that, like, now that everything is settled and like, I mean, she put out the Young and Dumb song, like maybe that's also part of why we didn't get a song for the tour until now. The MFP music thing is another thing that people notice. Like, her stuff used to be licensed under just Avril Lavigne music, but now it's called MFP music. So like, people are wondering if maybe she might have started her own little label or imprint or something like that. Not entirely sure, but hopefully, things will get back on track. Like, the tour is going to end pretty soon, so that should leave her a lot more time to start, either start working on the album again or finish what she was working on. And hopefully, it'll be a smooth rollout the way that Love Sucks was. The next thing we have to talk about, of course, is the 2025 leg of the Greatest Hits Tour starting back up. So I do plan to do a full episode on it once the tour officially wraps, but just to give my brief thoughts on it here, I am, like, again, this is another thing that Avril proved me wrong on, is like, initially I had predicted that the setlist wasn't going to change very much, but the setlist has changed significantly. Like, obviously she's still playing a lot of the hits and Young and Dumb is in there, but there were some, like, especially that first night, there was some really rogue, unexpected choices that I did not see coming, but I'm really, like, kind of like pleasantly surprised they were in there. And I'm definitely going to run through all of the changes that were made when I get to the full episode, the full rundown, the full recap of that when we get there. But then adding the acoustic set as well, like, that was something that I really wanted her to do from the last leg. And the fact that she's been bringing back some old songs and some unexpected covers and stuff like that, like, she has really changed things up. Like, she has thrown a wrench in there, and there's even new visuals, new costumes. I'm just pleasantly surprised and glad to be proven wrong that she decided to make such significant changes this time around. And I think she's been doing really well on this tour. Like, I do think it could stand to be more consistent, like, in terms of like swapping out one song for another song, or she's like dropping songs and not replacing them and stuff like that. I'll get to that more when I cover that in the next episode about the tour. But other than the consistency issue, I do think that she's otherwise doing really well. Like, her energy is really good. Her rapport with the audience and like how talkative she is, and like her kind of just spontaneity of like, let's do this song or let's change this, is really good to see. It's good to see that she's not maybe so stagnant and so stuck in her comfort zone all the time. And I think that Young and Dumb has been going off really well as well, with Simple Plan being there to do it with her, and having that moment with the fans again where they come up on stage and people are bringing signs. And like, there was that one guy the first night with the, she signed his leg for a tattoo, like, just all these fun fan moments, and like people bringing their kids up on stage. Like, it's like people that grew up listening to Avril now bringing their own kids with them, and the kids get to be up on stage. It's like just such a fun, full circle moment, celebration of her career and her fans. And I think things have been going really well, and that's always great to see. But like I said, I'm going to cover that a lot more on the next episode once the tour officially wraps. Then the last thing that I want to talk about before we go is I am just glad to hear that the Sk8er Boi movie is still in the works. Like I said, she was on Kylie Kelsey's podcast not long ago. And by the way, I was really happy to see that she was on that podcast, because I know it's a really, really popular podcast. For those who don't know, Kylie Kelsey is married to Jason Kelsey, who was a former NFL football player for the Eagles. And he's the brother of Travis Kelsey, who is dating Taylor Swift. So that's the whole connection there. So like, her podcast is enormously popular, especially amongst women. So it's really great that she was able to have Avril as a guest. And I was really happy and surprised, honestly, to hear that the Sk8er Boi movie is still in the works, because I thought maybe that might have just gotten dropped at this point. Like, it just seemed like, when is she going to have time to do that, But I'm happy to hear that she is still working on it, and that, she has more projects, more collaborations, appearances coming up. Like, she's going to be briefly in the Simple Plan documentary talking about when she was like touring with them and stuff. And the Yellow Card collaboration, the Bon Jovi collaboration, like, there's just so much stuff coming up. It's like she's always working on something. She's always got something cooking. She's always at work behind the scenes on stuff. It kind of makes it like fun like a fun surprise in a way when we have no idea what she's working on. And then all of a sudden news comes out that like she's going to be on this project. She's going to be on that song. And it just makes it really fun to follow her as a fan because you just never know what's going to come next. And I'm really hoping as well, speaking of documentaries, that we eventually get her documentary that she's been working on as well. A lot of people think that maybe because Simple Plans is going to be on Amazon Prime, that maybe Avril's will also be on Amazon Prime. Maybe once the tour wraps or once the 8th album is out, maybe they'll wrap up the documentary. Like who knows where exactly they're going with it, like how long they want to document for, who knows how long they want to chronicle things. If it's meant to be like from the 20th anniversary, like her 20th anniversary music up through the end of the Greatest Hits era. We don't even know if the Greatest Hits era is going to continue for another leg. Like that's another thing is she hasn't yet brought the tour to Europe, Asia, South America, the usual places that she goes. She has not yet brought it overseas, and that would be really strange if she didn't. So I feel like I did hear a rumor that it's possible the Greatest Hits tour will extend into 2026, but that's not official, obviously. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see how long she plans to draw out this Greatest Hits era. Like I feel like it's one of those things that she could just keep riding this wave for years and years if she wanted to. Like it's clearly working for her. It's clearly successful. So it's kind of just something that she can keep doing until the 8th album is ready. But like I said, she's got all these other things coming up that will be really exciting. And of course, as always, when these things materialize, I will be sure to cover them here. So with all of that, I think I covered everything. If there's anything I missed, I'll be sure to get it in the next episode. But like I said, the next episode is probably going to be when she wraps the Greatest Hits tour, or at least this leg of the Greatest Hits tour. Once she officially wraps, I'm going to come back and do an episode talking all about the changes that were made and any other interesting facts and trivia about it, like I always do with all of her other tours. So I think I covered everything for the most part. I think I covered basically everything over the last few months here in this bonus episode. So with that, I think we can officially conclude this edition of the Best Damn Avril Lavigne podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your preferred podcast platform so you can get new episodes directly in your feed. And please don't forget to take a minute to leave a rating or review to help more fans find the show. We're currently streaming on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, and Audible. Be sure to join me again next time on the Best Damn Avril Lavigne podcast. The Best Damn Avril Lavigne podcast is hosted, produced, and edited by Andrea DiFrancesco. Theme music is HD and Lights by J. Powell Flicks. Follow the latest podcast news on Instagram at bestdamnavrilpod or email bestdamnavrilpod@yahoo.com.